bring the mic a little closer here. And in this video, I'm gonna demonstrate a couple of brainstorming ideas that I used to use as a level designer that I think would be cool for any sort of designer that they could use for any sort of level design, whether it's designing an entire like world, like if it were like a World of Warcraft world island, just a level. So I started level designing when I was a kid, like 12 years old, 11 years old, and I just kept doing so many tutorials that I eventually just learned how to do all sorts of techniques. And it was at that point I needed to learn how to like structure everything, and then like because that was really the last thing for me to really do. So I'd always kind of um, did have structure ideas, but not to the point to where I got into other parts of like learning like math and like to the degree of like house advantage, and that's the type of thing that where I was able to start dividing everything out a lot more. So let me show you part of one of my examples. I'm going to try to give everybody 3 examples of like large, small, medium type concepts. So the main concepts, when I first design a level, I'm trying to decide how many respawn points do I want in the map. So let's say I was going to do like let's say a death match. We're going to do a small level, a death match map for, let's do 6 people. So my concept design behind this is I'm going to try to evenly divide out every angle of this. So in reality, I want to design this for the optimization of the balance, almost like a piece on the chessboard. So I'm visualizing, okay, where do I want the spawn points? But this is very specific. This would be designed specifically for a 6 versus 6 type structure. So that's the type of level designer I am, where I want to get it exactly perfect for the most part. I mean, granted, you could probably do 6 or less, but it wouldn't be designed for more. Because I would only put these 6. I guess you could put that as the spawn zone and put multiple spawn points in it, and it wouldn't matter. So I could, in theory, basically clone that 2-3 times, and then I'll have 18 up to 18 if I clone it 3 times, which would be a good idea, even on a small level, which would be the solution. So also what I'm trying to balance with my level design selection is, where do I want the placement of these spawn points? So I want to put each one as its own like outpost, so the players are naturally built into the flow of the level. So it's like each level is its own chessboard, and you just boom, and you're already ready there. So that's one of my first ideas of also what am I going to design my level concept around. Another concept that I'm going to take into my consideration when I first start off is going to be what type of theme, and also I'm going to kind of basically do the layout of the map. And this is a part of the map where I would not, I just kind of shape it around. If there's some other idea I decide to maybe I want to change it. So let's just say that's my design for this level. So this is going to be our main spawn point, so we're going to basically have different outposts, but there are different things that I do to balance the outposts for my level designs. So this is how I do that. So what we have next is we're going to put in the next spawn points over here. And I'm just visualizing how I would like to see the flow of the game balance its play. So I'm kind of staging the action, the flow, like putting the river in motion, and then everybody's just automatically just already going. So now, after I've got all my points, I'm going to do one more, because if I do 6 on one side, I will do 6 on the other, because of its the way that this is designed. Maybe it would be cool if we just kind of went a little bit wild. Because, I mean, look at how... See, I also take into consideration, I'm trying to visualize the structure, so I'm thinking that this choke point is probably going to be some sort of weakness that needs to have design built around it. So I think that would be a great spot to put it really close next, which I like to keep them spaced out and balanced. But right here, I think this could be a choke point. And then I really like having that last guy, you know, kind of stay back on that back of the line of the field. And then these three are kind of already at the front gate, because now my next basically session that I'm going to design is the line of sight angles, so I can basically balance it almost like a magnetical connection between each point. So I want it to have perfectly calibrated, visualized line of sight areas that are going to be you're going to basically use in the level as it's part of the flow. So we don't, basically what I'm going to be doing here is the most important part, I would say, because it really increases and amplifies all of the dynamic going on with everything around it. So let me give you an example of bad structure, so then you can see how the good structure does work. So bad structure would revolve around, let's say that there was a fort going out to right here, and then maybe out to right there, like that. And then this one would be something like this, which wouldn't be good design structure, because now all you're getting between your two line of sight angles is you have only one main line of sight angle on your whole level design, which is going to revolve in the whole gameplay flowing around just trying to get through this choke point, which really serves no design purpose unless you could add enough elements of balance to the property of what's happening. You know, it would probably have to get something complex, like some sort of Donkey Kong type of nature of things that are happening, juggling weird shit. So that's a bad design, especially for a deathmatch type concept, to go choke out to one line of sight. So this is the whole point of understanding, oh, I have 6 and 6. So I'm trying to visualize, okay, how many line of sight angles do I want to give available to take shots at, so that somebody isn't disadvantaged or isn't too advantaged. So that's all you're trying to visualize is how can I balance this dot to that dot if I can put something here or there. So that is where we're going to go back and fix the problem here. So what we're going to do to fix the problem right away is I already like to design battlefield type fronts. So let's just say that this is a fucking like castle type fucking thing right here. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm going to make this like a fort. So this guy's holding down this whole fort. And then boom, 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 boom. We're going to balance the equation. So now no one's advantaged or disadvantaged between this line of sight angle. And this is our first line of sight angle that we want to take into consideration as the main aspect of starting on this chessboard, this design. Because we want to incorporate the flow that when you're in this outpost, you're the one already lined up for the first line of sight shot. Almost the most critical piece on the board. Almost like the pawn on the board. But also more like the rook on the board too, because we're in control of what do we want to happen here. Now, what I would like to see with this is this goes back into a wall. So then this person has an option to go into that line of flow with the player on the main front. So he isn't automatically right there in the main front. Because that's part of my design is like, you want first stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And you want it to be like pieces moving. And it could be always different sorts of variations. So that's our first parameter that we're going to abide by. So for a line of sight, we have one main line of sight. Boom, that's our first main line of sight. And that's going to be our primary. Everything is just blasting off. Of course, we're going to design elements between these spawn points to where it's going to be up to each one of these to move forward or back, to stay protected or go look for a shot like a sniper deck. So we're not going to immediately have imminent danger in this line of sight until we have the exact, because it's only going to be in certain areas of this that it's going to be mainly ready for the war field. And now we're going to go back to what is the next principle what's our next line of sight that we're trying to really line up? Well, this is almost like the bridge. So everything needs to basically connect to the bridge. So that's just the way it is for this design. So everybody is going to have the option. So what I would like to see with this is... Okay, I got an idea. I would like to see something like this. And then what we could do is create like another little outpost. And we could also incorporate an outpost, master post, between for access for everybody. So this outpost can be bridged and trampled onto. So that's going to be the goal of this side and this side is to secondary. The secondary concept of this level that I'm going to try to design the concept around, but let me do one more because I would like to see... I would actually really like to just see another outpost coming out of the wall right there, so then people could run over to it, and that would balance this next line of sight, which gives them 2 line of sights. And then our next main line of sight we're looking at is we're going to be looking at doorways. So what we're going to do is figure out where do we want these doorways. So we want the shot at the doorway here to open up a shot over here. And then we want the shot over on this side right here to open up the shot over here. So then it's balanced. You see how it's about connecting the dots and balancing the equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the door we'll put one right here. That's a door. We're going to put like, so they could run out this door and there's shit over here. And we'll figure out what to fill everything up with, you know, water, river, tree, whatever it may be. So let's say this is a jungle type level. So we could do all sorts of theme designs of like tree house type thing. That's what I was really, one of my favorite levels that I had started to design was like having waterfalls and jungle type shit, man. It was looking amazing. And bridges, little cross bridges. So there's just so many things. So this door here isn't going to particularly open up any line of sight, which is the whole point of putting it there, because we don't want to create too many advantages or disadvantages for one side or the other. We want it to be equal to be able to be used for either side here. So we're going to put two though. So we want this one and then this one. And maybe this one's a little bit bigger. Okay, now that opens up the next main line of sight. That's the point of it being created, is between, boom, right there. That's our next line of sight, connects with that, which is what we want. So, of course, we're going to have some other objects blocking this over here. Maybe just a wall. Maybe just a wall. Maybe just a wall. So that, you know, no one's directly in the line of sight here right away. And then, of course, we're going to make it look smooth and good in the game. It's about understanding the mathematical algorithm and flow behind it. So now the only thing left here to do is finish the other door here on this side. So what we want is that shot right there in the middle here. So we want it to be, let's see. Yeah, we want it to be, you know what, because they're tucked down towards the bottom, so we don't want to give them too advantage of a shot. You know what, it's out in the middle, so it isn't going to matter. So what we're going to do is open up the door here. It's just basically this entire fucking thing. It's just a door, a bridge, whatever would look nice. Because there's not too many extra lines. I guess there is one extra line of shot opening up kind of over there, but it's not going to be in direct line of fire for right away. So basically, what we're looking at is this line of shot is right here. Because we want it to be balanced. Boom. So we have that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main lines of shots, which is really all you really need. And then from that point, everybody can line up their own line of shots, because you want a certain constriction for your basic capital of the flow. And then from this point, I would recommend coming up with the idea, are these going to be elevated and stuff like that, so you could kind of paint in that aspect of, let's say, down over here, this is going to be like a elevated. It's going to be really high, almost like a hill, like a mountain. But you can still kind of walk in that area. We just know that to get access to and through this area, it's going to be elevated. Because we're kind of putting in height maps. And then one last thing I would say is definitely do a lot of the height mapping in the game, but if you have a really large part of your structure, you kind of want to, like I'll give you an example of where you could do it again Like, let's say over here, we're just going to have it connect and fade into a riverbed slash pond, and then maybe like a waterfall over there in the corner. So it's like it's almost like the template, because you're only doing it for that one big main area if you need to, because other than that, you kind of just visualize that and do it in game. But you do want to take in consideration when you are going to level design that at that point, to kind of look in what heights would be good, bad, or try to create an advantage or disadvantage. And then from that point, that's the whole point of this concept of design, is the math behind it. I guess I said I was gonna do 3, but that's like probably way too many, because I mean, there's a lot of brainstorming involved in that. And feel free, if anybody wants to use this design right here, smooth it out, change it, and use it, please let me know so I can check it out, because I think it would be really badass and amazing. So I was thinking, if you do this, jungle theme, kind of like tiki, pyramid round house type things, roofs to like the treehouse huts, and then like walkway bridges, and maybe just water and birds and maybe monkeys for the theme. And I mean, night or day, that's just, I don't know. That's up to you. That's just depends on what you feel would be look nicer. Like if you feel like, I would say use night if there was a principle behind it needing to be dark. Like if it was some sort of challenging map, like a laser tag type of duel, maybe you would consider using dark. But I would recommend it's probably a lot easier to make it a light map. So I think that would be cool too. But I'll tell you one other part of my design on my map that I had a tree that came out from underneath the ground. So maybe over in this area you can have it literally drop down into a cove. Like I basically made a cove. So maybe you can make like a tree popping out here, and then it goes down under into a cove, and maybe it goes into a secret entrance over here, which would be cool. Which would be but I think if you wanted to do that, you would want to make it a little more balanced. So like, you wouldn't want to make it too accessible, because you don't want to just be too redundant on your design. So if they did want to get into this cove, they would need to go the long way. So they would be forced to go this extra long way, because you're not going to be able to make this same design over on the other side. That's the point of making it like that, instead of, oh, if I just do it from here to here. Look at how much of an advantage you just created for this side of the team, which it doesn't make it fair now. But this makes it a lot more fair, since it's more of a decision. It's like, hey, if you're going to go that way, you're going to be going that way. It's going to... And then also, he's delayed. He has a large delay, which is the whole point of, making him question, hey, do I want to do that? So there's a nice little idea and demonstration of how I design and create levels. So I think it would be cool if somebody wants to use this layout and go design like a deathmatch type level, CSGO, whatever game, it doesn't matter. I think this would be probably one of the smoothest playing maps out there that people have seen in a long time, because you gotta really visualize it with these sorts of concepts, and that's what makes it fun, because you get to decide. Because if I decided, hey, I wanted to make this a level for 12 people, of course I'm going to make the scale smaller. So what I mean by that is, you see how I made the spawn points that size? So when I put that block size, I'm using that as a reference to a human perspective from top-down view. So I expect a player to be walking around in this amount of area with that size of the box. So if it was a larger level, I'm going to go smaller with the box, because I'm going to be needing to add way more details. So it's like a finer... Look how much smaller the dot is, or the person is. Than the one I made over there. So that's what I'm going to do if I'm making it like a 16 player respawn point. But of course I would add more respawn points, because that's only 6 that I have, aside from just showing you a representation of the new scale. So that's how I decide on that, and that's just for my own reference to stay in correlation of what I'm looking at. So, but yeah, when you're going into 16 player levels, you're just kind of adding more of your line of sight areas, and you're also probably going to add more concepts and designs throughout those, like, 2-3 main big themes or things that are happening, like, maybe some sort of giant statue downtown, and then like some sort of giant bank, on the other side of the block. So like, you're gonna need an element or two, depending if it's medium or extra large. So it depends how much work you feel like you can do, because I think 16 player maps are the mastery of it all. That's where it gets, even 32 player. And then at that point, yeah, 64 and 128. But when you get up to the 128, you're looking at those, dropping into the level in survival till death, which is cool too. So I think that could be this design, these concepts can be used in any sort of level design that you're doing. Even if it was like Pac-Man, if it was like Mario, it doesn't matter. It's about the mathematical algorithm of it, and it creates a magnetical flow and structure to it. So we're going to wrap this video up. I hope everybody enjoyed that. I'm going to do one thing here. If I can find it, give me 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Bang. I'm going to sign it. There you go. You can take a screenshot and use that if you'd like. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's for your own depth of perception and your awareness of the flow. So you're not even necessarily worried about the how basic this has to be or could be. It could be as advanced as you want it to be too, and that's the beauty. Because I'm just showing you all that you need to do. That's all you need to do at the basic. How much more amazing could it get with software to develop this, and even like basically benchmark these sorts of physics, which would be amazing. So I think that would be a great idea for a software developer to create, maybe even a fucking a flow of dynamic simulator, so it just automatically generates these layouts with perfectly symmetrical divine, and you can tweak settings between difficulty of handicapness and advantage, and all sorts of different things to the automatic generation of this player size. And then automatically we can have our artificial intelligence doing this, connecting the dots, creating the dots, by saying, oh, how many choke points, how many outposts, how many key elements, how many special areas, how many elevated areas, etc. all that stuff. So I'm going to wrap this video up. Hope everybody has enjoyed. Let me move the signature over just a little for everybody. Ryan Tabar. I had meant to pass this knowledge down to level designers a while ago. I basically forgot. And then the other day I realized, oh man, that would be a good video, is how I can show them my flow of level design concept at this layer. This is a one layer, so this would be an amazing layer for everybody to add on to all of their ideas too. So good luck out there. Hope that gave everybody some good ideas. I also know, I do need to throw one more thing in. I do know like algorithmic math to where you can divide and multiply like certain percentages of advantage and or disadvantage. So I could change these choke points to give somebody 2 to 1. But if I give them 2 to 1 on a choke point, I could give them 2 to 1 for a respawn. So I could balance it, because I could visualize it. Or 3 to 1. And then if I know, oh, well, I can reposition all these spawn points to give them 3 to 1. Whatever it so happens that I can visualize, which is all sorts of amazing ways to keep it unique. So keep that into consideration, especially giant companies. You know, don't forget that. That's stuff. I mean, you could even divide it down to 1 to 128, right? Give one side, we're talking some sort of special game, some sort of bonus game or something. Give them 128 to 1 on something, but then the other ones get, and you don't have to just do 128 and 128. You could do 128 and then 64 divided by 2 is 32, so 32 times 4. So you could give 4 different advantage points to your layer flow of 32 to 1 on an advantage, so you could, as balanced as possible, make it 128, because if you got the 32 times 4, you get the 128. So 4 elements you beef up 32 times. So there's all sorts of scales. It just depends if you could use the concept or have the idea of what you would need to use it for, or what could it be used for. So keep it in mind. That's when you get into advanced levels of it, but that's when you really start making amazing levels that would never be possible if you didn't understand that concept. So I hope everybody really looks into that and starts using it, and starts amplifying it out more, because I mean, I don't even level design anymore. That's why I need to throw this information out there for other people to use and evolve. So yeah, by all means, this is open source. Anybody can use this here. Good luck out there. Enjoy designing. Have fun.